Hey guys, Steven here with SCS Pickleball, and today we're talking about this new core reactor series from Honolulu. This is utilizing brand new technology in the core. It's using a pivoting core, a full foam Gen 4 floating core, and there is a lot of brand new technology that we need to talk about this paddle. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dink straight into it. So the new core reactor series from Honolulu will be coming out in all their other shapes. They do have the pre-order available for the J6 right now on the website. You can get 10% off using code STS10. So STS10 is going to be my carbon fiber and titanium specific code for Honolulu Pickleball. You can use code STS Pickleball as well, which is my generalized code for all the other websites in the space. That'll give you $20 off anything Kevlar specific on their website as well. So that's how they have the codes allocated, but that'll save you some money there, right? So let's go ahead and jump into what's going on here with this new core reactor series. So let's give you the full story. So the full story is Honolulu Pickleball actually sent me 3 different prototypes. Okay. So this was after they did all the testing with all their pros, did a bunch of engineering testing. They hired a couple brand new engineers, very high-end engineers, to really dive in and create some brand new core technology for these paddles, which I think is really cool. They did that. They're actually allocating a lot of their resources back in, staying on curve or ahead of the curve, every step of the way. And we see that with a lot of their recent releases. They are so on curve or ahead of the curve with everything that they're kind of implementing into twist weight, swing weight, power metrics, sweet spot, having power and control. It's really cool to see. So I tried all 3 of these prototypes very extensively. My personal favorite was this option 5. Which is actually at the bottom over here. So this option 5 right here was the standout for me. The reason why the other 2 were a little bit more rigid off the face. They had really good pop, but the power wasn't quite as explosive. This option 5 version right here, the power was quite a lot more explosive off the face. Reminded me a lot more of like a boomstick, Selkirk boomstick, or like a bread and butter loco. I would say that this new J6CR does have just a touch more power than the loco, maybe just a touch less power than the boomstick. But honestly, if I was blind testing all 3 of these paddles, the boomstick, the J6CR, and the loco, it would be very, very hard to tell a power difference between the 3. And so let's talk about real quick why Honolulu has been such a top pick for me over the past, year or 2. And the reason why is because they're always on curve or ahead of the curve, like we were talking about before. They're always reallocating resources back in, hiring engineers. They actually just recently bought a CT scanner, which literally x-rays the inside of every single paddle that they're manufacturing. So they can look for defects on the outside, but also make sure that there's 0 defects, even small defects in the core construction of these paddles, so that you know that you're not getting a paddle that has any defects outside or inside. And it's little things like this that really prove that Honolulu Pickleball is really here to make something that is very quality oriented, right? They're not a cash grab company. They're not here just pumping things out, just trying to get new marketing out, to try and get something out just to make more money, right? And I respect that a lot, right? I really do. I respect that a lot. Let's go and jump into some measurements on this paddle. So the overall weight comes in at 8.05 ounces. The twist weight is going to be 6.46, and the swing weight is going to be 114.99. And these are very, very optimized values for an elongated paddle as well. So 114.99 on the swing weight gives you the ability to add perimeter weighting without making the twist weight too high. I would say most elongated paddles come in the 116, 117, 118, 119, probably more so in that 118, 119 range, generally speaking, these days. So the fact that this is coming in at 115 on swing weight means that you're not starting with too much weight towards the head, which gives you a lot of ability to sort of add perimeter weighting if you'd like. It also does have a nice twist weight rating of 6.46, which for an elongated paddle is definitely very good, definitely above average. But again, with a lower swing weight score, you do have the ability to add perimeter weighting here and not make the swing weight too ridiculously high. Okay, so let's go ahead and test the grit on the J6CR. So I have my Starrett SR160 here. This is going to be the exact same surface roughness tester that USAP uses to test if paddles are legal or not legal. And so this is the gold standard for testing grit levels on paddles these days. So let's go ahead and see what we get here. We'll go ahead and send this off and test it. And all right, so the 2 things that we're looking at here is going to be RZ and RT. So RZ is going to be the average peak to valley height over the tested area, and RT is going to be the single highest to lowest point in that range or in that set of information that it tested. So for this one, the RZ is going to come in at 35.7 micrometers, and the RT is going to be 64.7 micrometers. So again, in Honolulu fashion, this is definitely higher than pretty much 90 to 95% of the paddles that I test these days. That RT value is absolutely astronomically high, and the RZ is very, very high. We'll leave it at that. But very, very high grit levels as usual, and that's why the spin is so high on this paddle, right? So we can tell, obviously objectively analyzing things is nice because it kind of proves to you guys that what I'm talking about is actually what's going on. But at the end of the day, that's why this has so high spin. That's why you're getting elite spin from Honolulu paddles these days, right? It's because they're really optimizing the grit levels, and they're still USAP approved. So I would say take an advantage where you can get an advantage, So, and I will say, if you always want to be in the know on every single paddle release that comes out and all of my thoughts and objective information about these paddles that release, definitely consider subscribing. You can hit that little bell notification next to the subscription button. It's the biggest way to help out and support my channel if you want to support what I'm trying to do here. I'm definitely here for the long time, not for a good time. And, I definitely want to make sure that what I'm giving you is transparent information. And I hope that you see that over and over and you come back and you want to see more. So let's go ahead and jump into the juicier metrics here, which I'm sure is what you're really here for. The spin came in on this at 2338 RPM, so absolutely elite here, of course, with that Honolulu grit. Very, very good spin results on this. Power came in at 9.6 out of 10, pop at 9.2, sweet spot at 9.1, and control at 9. So the fact that it has that much power with that big of a sweet spot for an elongated paddle, and again, with that much general control, with that more plush nature off the face, this paddle rips on large shots, but also has a really nice feeling of finesse on shorter shots, on softer shots, more finesse style shots. It definitely has a ton of dip over the net. On drives and serves, they felt ridiculously aggressive. And then again, with that sweet spot being so large and then the control being so high, the fact that I can dink and drop this well with a paddle like this is pretty amazing. So this technology, their new core reactor technology, is utilizing a full foam Gen 4 core. Okay, so it's a fully floating core. So that means that this core on the inside is fully floating, surrounded by more foam on the outside. It's dual density foam as well. So we're talking about different densities to kind of get different mechanics and different feelings off the face. We're also talking about a brand new pivoting points, sort of at the bottom of the face down here in this general section. Basically what that does is it allows the core to just pivot just slightly on certain hits. And what that does is it actually makes your deflection on your hits more accurate. So to put this fairly concisely, essentially what they did here is they worked with an engineer, and what they wanted to do is they really wanted to dial in something that we've been talking about a little bit recently in the reviewing space of paddles, and that's going to be angle of deflection. And so that's really what differentiates this as far as its technology goes, is going to be angle of deflection. And so what that little pivoting core does is it kind of counterbalances the way that the core pivots and allows the ball to rebound off the face at a more linear way. So we've noticed with certain paddles, you may rip the paddle, think you're hitting it at a certain trajectory, and it may come off, 5 to 10 degrees higher or lower, depending on the way that core reacts with the ball, essentially, right? And what this does is it sort of counteracts that. So what you see is what you get, or what you're looking to do is what you get. And I did notice that a lot with this paddle. I tried this in singles. Which I don't play a lot of singles. I play mostly doubles, but I did try this in singles just to see if I could really accurately place more of my drives and more of my shots and more of my aggressive shots with this paddle. And I will say that the angle of deflection on this paddle was extremely linear. It was very easy to predict where the ball was going to come off of this paddle. So I will say that whatever's going on in here technology-wise, they did a great job because it does come out in play. So if you're one of those people that's looking for something that is highly accurate as far as where you're placing the ball, I would say that this is a great pick for you. Overall, I would say that the CR series is definitely going to be a better pick, in my opinion, than the NF series. I will say that I would take more power, especially with how large the sweet spot and how good the control is on this paddle, over less power. The NF series also feels more rigid now in comparison to the CR series. This has more of a plush nature off the face. It has more of that kind of that dwelly feeling, which I love. I love that feeling. So if you're looking for something that has more power, huge sweet spot, really good control, and also something that has utilized brand new technology to create an angle of deflection that is more linear in play. So you're not getting those slight variances up or slight variances down on some of your, ripper drives or serves, or, maybe they're really good at countering things at the net, and you want to be able to just hit a drive that's a little bit more piercing and not have it deviate too much. This core technology is what's going to be helping with those variances in that deflection angle. I think the technology that went into this actually has merit. Like it feels like it's doing something in practice. It doesn't feel like a gimmick. It doesn't feel like some sort of marketing play, which is nice to see. The fact that they're utilizing CT scanners and really driving in on quality and making sure that your experience is, as similar to my experience as possible, I think is very respectable on their end. And the fact that they now have a paddle that competes with the Boomstick and the Loco and the GX2 Power, along with their huge Honolulu sweet spot and, that Honolulu grit for that spin is awesome. So again, I don't want to sound salesy, and I try and make these reviews as objective as possible and try not to use words that, exaggerate things or create drama. That's not my point here. The point of my channel is to be as transparent as possible. I want to be here for a long time. I want to make sure that the information that I'm giving you guys is pure, because at the end of the day, if you buy a paddle with your hard-earned money, you go out and it doesn't play how I said it will play, you're not going to come back. And I want you to come back. I want you to come back each and every video and check out what we're looking at, and check out what we're talking about, and really dive into this stuff with me and trust what I'm saying, and I want to make sure that when you get your paddle, you come back and you comment and say, hey, you know what? This felt exactly like what you said it would. I love this paddle. I'm so glad that I watched your reviews and it helped me so much. Comments like that make my day every single time. It puts a big smile on my face and makes me feel so good that I help somebody objectively and authentically navigate the paddle space, which is very hard to navigate these days. There's so many paddles out there. There's so much crap to weed through. There's so much marketing jargon to weed through. You never know if something's actually going to be legit or if it's just another cash grab. And so I hope that, this kind of helps out in that way. So I just want to let you know that I really appreciate each and every one of you. Definitely consider subscribing if you want to be in the know for all of my future videos. Consider leaving a comment down below if you have any questions. I read all the comments. Have a freaking wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.